Hello and welcome to today's discussion class. Today, the first question was explain the main characteristics of the Indian climate and discuss the spatial distribution of rainfall in the country with special reference to your relief and location. Remember, these are the two things to which you have to give a special that is you have to give a special attention. Now let us understand this. See, your first part of the question was explain the main characteristics of the Indian climate. Now, how do you explain the main characteristics of the Indian climate? Remember that the question has to be written within 100 words. The main characteristics of the Indian climate, or we can simply say that the Indian climate is classified as a tropical monsoonal type of climate. I hope you got TM means. It's nothing but tropical monsoonal type of the climate that receives 75% of the rainfall, or you can say 70% of the rainfall in 3 months period. Which is this 3 months period? June, July, August. Simple, sir. That it receives 70% of its rainfall within the period of 3 months. Now that is what explains the main characteristics of the Indian climate. It means that for 3 months the entire country is wet, whereas for the remaining 9 months it is completely dry. Understand this. Next, it says that and discuss the spatial distribution of the rainfall in the country with special reference to the relief and location. Now in this context, please understand that I would divide this part into 3 plus 7. If 3 part is for the main characteristics of the Indian climate, the 7 part would be for the spatial distribution of rainfall. Now in the spatial distribution, we have categorized it into 4 parts. Remember that question says that with the special reference to the relief and location. See, in the special reference, first of all, we have regions which are receiving more than 200 centimeter of rainfall. Which are this region? These are your Andaman Nicobar Island. This is your Malabar coast and your northeast India, or the southern northeast India. Now why they are receiving 200 centimeter of the rainfall? Because of the impact of the southwest monsoon. This is number 1. Number 2, where we are receiving 200 to 100 centimeter. Which are those regions? These are the regions of your western ghats. This because of the western ghats that it receives 200 to 100 centimeter of rainfall. Similarly, we have your Coromandel coast that receives such kind of rainfall during your retreating monsoon. Similarly, we have the Odisha, we have this in the Gangetic plains, and last but not least, up to the North Gangetic plains, we have rainfall which is up to 200 to 100 centimeter. So we got rainfall above 200 centimeter, and we got rainfall from 200 to 100 centimeter. Next we have is a rainfall of 50 to 100 centimeter. Now this 50 to 100 centimeter of the rainfall is located where? This is what I would call is the Satluj Yamuna plain. What is the Satluj Yamuna plain? Satluj Yamuna plain is none other than your Haryana and Punjab. When I say Satluj Yamuna plain, it means your Haryana and Punjab. Now this Haryana and Punjab region, they receive a rainfall of how much? 50 to 100 centimeter. Similar is the case of your Jammu and Kashmir. And what is the main source of the rainfall over here? The main source of rainfall is your western disturbance, number 1, as well as your monsoon, or the advancing monsoon. Understand this. It is your western disturbance number 1, and it is your advancing monsoon number 2, which are responsible for the rainfall in the Satluj Yamuna plain as well as the Jammu Kashmir region. Simple. Next, we have over here a region of below 50 centimeter of rainfall. What is the region below 50 centimeter of the rainfall? Below 50 centimeter of the rainfall, we have this region, and this region I would call as that the rain shadow region of the Western Ghats. It is this rain shadow region of this Western Ghats, as a result of which the Arabian Sea branch do not provide rainfall to this part. Understand this. Next, again we have what? We have the region as such as the northern Gujarat and the western Rajasthan. We have how much centimeter? Again, we have the 50 centimeter of rainfall. Now, why do we have a 50 centimeter of rainfall? Because there is absence of barrier. There is absence of barrier which restricts the southwest monsoon. I hope you understand that when the southwest monsoon travels over here, there is no barrier over here which restricts the southwest monsoon, or we can say no barrier to restrict the Bay of Bengal branch, or no barrier to restrict your Arabian Sea branch. Hence, this part what happens is that receives even less than 50 centimeter of the rainfall. Whereas as you can see in this between this 200 to 100 centimeter rainfall, you can also include this southern Gujarat region, because southern Gujarat region is at a comparatively higher upland. You do not need to write this, but just you have to mention some of the areas over which the rainfall is occurring, and you also have to mention the reasons, such as this that particular of the Bay of Bengal, or you have to say that the Arabian Sea branch. You can also have to mention the topography, such as the Western Ghats. In this manner, you have to describe your spatial distribution of the Indian rainfall. Next, coming up to the next question. Next question says that describe the salient features of the farm size in India and its impact on the inclusive development. See, now what happened is that most of you did not understand the question, and as a result of which you just wrote whatever came in your mind. See, the first and foremost was the introduction about the farm size. See, farm size in the India can be classified into large, medium, small. This is your basic intro, and that should have been mentioned. Large farms is of 10 hectares, medium is from 2 to 10, and small are below 2. Now, what is the silent aspect of the farm size? Silent aspect says that there is a high prevalence of the marginal land below 2 hectare. Though there are three categories of land, but within this three category, the marginal lands are more prevalent. Again, the average size of the marginal land has been decreasing, that is from 2 hectares in 1970 to 1.0 hectares in 2015 to 16. Hence, as a result of which, the agriculture over such marginal land is mainly subsistence. What is the subsistence agriculture? Means there is no surplus. Next, I think that made the spelling mistake of the subsistence type of the agriculture. Please forgive. Next, impact of the inclusive development. Now, what is the impact of the inclusive development? See, it says that first of all, there is an increasing income gap between the rich and the poor farmers. Now, who are the poor farmers? The poor farmers are those farmers with the marginal land. And this context, what happens is that there is a stark income difference between the rich and the poor. Why? Because there is a low credit facility that is available to the poor farmers, because remember that your credit facility is available as per the hectare of the land that you possess. Lower the hectare, lower would be your credit facility. Next, non-mechanization. See, when your lands are marginal, it's very difficult for you to mechanize this land, and as a result of this, it leads to the fall of the productivity. Now, this is the very impact on the inclusive development. That is, the development is not inclusive. That is, it cannot. That is, with the development, though it is occurring, but the poor farmers are left out of the ambit of the development. It's that simple. Now, the conclusion, it says that within that conclusion, this is something that I got. First of all, say that enable land leasing. What is this land leasing? Land leasing means that if we have small patch of land, with the help of land leasing, what happens is that we can take the small patch of land and make it a large land. For that, for every land that we have taken and the lease, we have to pay something to the farmers in return. That is one of the methods in which the marginal lands can be converted to the large tract of lands. Again, let us move on for the community farming. Community farming means that where the community or a group of farmer basically would join together so as to farm their entire land. As a result of what happens in this community farming is that the cost of the input actually reduces, farm can be mechanized. It's that simple. Next, explain the factor for the origin of the ocean current. Now in this context, the factors for the origin of the ocean current has already been discussed. I will provide you the link below so that you can have a check of it. Next, how does it impacts the climate? See, understand this. Cold current, what it does is that it induces your high pressure, and this high pressure results in your arid climate. Example is your the Peruvian current resulting in your Atacama desert. If you don't know where the Peruvian current is, I would suggest you to look into your atlas if you have, or go for a Google search. If not, still then, the Peruvian current is located none other than in your eastern coast of your South America. Now, the warm current. What does the warm current does? The warm current actually induces your low pressure, hence resulting in your wet climate. Example is your Brazilian current. Remember that the warm current such as the North Atlantic drift is also responsible for the British type of the climate. What is this British type of the climate? This British type of the climate we actually find in the Western Europe. In this climate, what happens is that throughout the year you have 130 centimeter of rainfall in the effectivity of the warm current. Next, fishing. How does it helps in fishing? Actually, what happens is that wherever there is the combination of the cold current and warm current, it results in the development of your rich fishing ground. Let us understand with the example. NAD means your North Atlantic drift. I hope you remember that the North Atlantic drift flows through your North America in such a manner, and this is when the North Atlantic drift is flowing, there is a inflow of the cold Labrador current, and with the emergence of the North Atlantic drift and the cold Labrador current, this ground becomes rich for the fish. Again, navigation. It facilitates navigation. Yes, North Atlantic drift and Labrador current, as a result of which the Newfoundlands, where is this Newfoundlands? Located in the northwest of the North America. Sorry, it's the northeast of the North America, and that this Newfoundland is the region where the North Atlantic drift and the Labrador current is meeting. Hence, it has developed a rich fishing ground. And with respect to navigation, the currents basically help in the process of navigation. And in this context, the current that is actually helpful is none other than your warm current. Why? See, warm currents are more faster than the cold current. Hence, they are more effective in the transportation process when compared to the cold current. Again, next question is your explain the formation of thousands of islands in the Indonesia and Philippines archipelago. I have drawn a diagram for you to understand this. Please understand this. This is India basically, and this is your Southeast Asia. Now in this context, as you can see, this is your Indonesia. Now the Indonesia is located where? It is located in the junction between the Indo-Australian plate and the Burmese plate. Now the Indo-Australian plate being an oceanic plate means this part is here, it's oceanic in nature. What happens is that it submerges under your Burmese plate, as a result of which what happens? There is flow of the magma. Similar is the case of the Philippines. What happens is that your Pacific plate has submerged under the Philippines plate. Now understand this. This is your oceanic plate. This is your continental plate. The Burmese plate over here, or the Pacific, or the Philippines plate over here, these are the characterized with the continental plate. But on the other hand, the Indo-Australian plate and Pacific plate are the oceanic plate. So what happens is that the oceanic plate are actually denser. Hence, when the oceanic plate collides, this is your oceanic plate, this is your continental plate, collides, the oceanic plate being denser actually submerges beneath your continental plate. Now with the submergence, what happens is that your magma over here, it erupts, and this magma, actually the gap, there is a gap formed over here because of the submergence of the oceanic plate, and this leads to the outpour of your magma, and hence this magma leads to the dotting structures, which are none other than your island arcs or the island archipelago that has been formed. It's that simple. So basically, when it is asking about the Burmese plate and it's asking about the Philippines plate, so your answer has two parts. You have to show you have to say about talk about the Philippines plate, Burmese plate, and again you have to talk about the Indo-Australian plate and the Pacific plate. How it is submergence, how is it being submerged, and how the submergence is leading to the rise of the, what I call this as the magma plumes. What are these magma plumes? Magma plumes are nothing but the lava that rises from the asthenosphere due to the gap formed as a result of the submergence of the oceanic plate beneath the continental plate. It is simple. Next. Now, I have not discussed other questions because other questions were direct questions, but I am discussing the location of the iron and steel industry in India. Understand this. See, iron and steel industry of the Odisha. I'm sorry, this is Odisha, not India. Now, in this context, what I'm trying to say is that, see, I have drawn this diagram for you to understand. Now, this is what is RSP I have drawn over here. RSP is nothing other than your Rourkela steel plant. Now, Rourkela steel plant, as most of you know, is located where? In your Rourkela. Now, what were the factors that actually resulted or the location of the RSP over here? See, first of all was that key, the raw material. What are the raw material necessary for the iron and steel? First, we need iron ore, which was available from the Badam Pahad. We need coal. Coal was available from Raniganj in Calcutta, sorry, West Bengal. Next, we need limestone, and the limestone was available from the Birmutrapur. I hope you know that the Birmitrapur and the Badam Pahad both are located within the state of Odisha. Raniganj is located in the West Bengal. It is also known for as the largest coal mine of Odisha, all the India. Apart from this, there are also other facilities such as the South Coal flow of the South Coal River, and it was the cheap labor that was actually responsible for the establishment of the Rourkela steel plant. Now, it talks about the what are the localization of the iron and steel industry in India. It says that why the iron and steel industry of Odisha has been localized. So basically, the localization response, why it has been localized, because of number one is that your raw material, number two is your cheap labor, number three you can also talk about the government's initiative, because the government provided the land, government provided the machinery, every investment was provided by the government. Hence, it led to the establishment or the localization of the iron and steel plant in Odisha. It's that simple. But you also have to give an example of it. That will be all for today's class. Thank you.